Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's April 8th, 2021, and one of the things I've been working on for the last couple weeks is doing lots of hardwood cuttings and pruning throughout the food forest, trying to get things caught up. I'm still way behind. But along with doing the pruning, we do hardwood propagation. And you saw how we did some of the pussy willows in the past, and I've got to get some of those in the ground pretty soon. And one of the challenges we have here, since we do sell some of our potted plants and bare root plants on Craigslist, one of the challenges that we live in such a windy location that no matter what I've hooked to the pots, whether it's tape and the permanent ink markers on the pots themselves, or the plastic labels that you see in the nurseries, or the aluminum labels that you can indent on, the wires snap off and all. So we've been through a whole bunch of different techniques trying to keep good labels, and of course the plastic stakes that you can put in the pots as well. Ends up that we live in such a high wind area, these things snap, especially when they're cold, that these plastics become very brittle. So it can be a real challenge trying to decide, geez, is this a black currant? Is this a red currant? Is this a pink currant? And so on. So one of the things that I look forward to is around this last week or so is when the leaf buds start to emerge, and timing is the big giveaway. Another giveaway that used to be very effective for me was actually the aroma, the fragrance that's given off by scraping the bark or scratching a root. And if you would get down to the cambium layer, or if you would prune them, they give off different fragrances. For example, the black currants are really distinctive, a really pungent odor, and I can still smell those. But since I had the viral infection last year, I completely lost my sense of taste and smell. They came back, but they're not 100%. I used to be drinking a few cups of coffee every single day for most of my life, and since I recovered from the virus, I certainly don't have the taste or the desire for coffee anymore. And with the aroma, I can't really detect the differences between the pink, the red, and the what other currant do we have? And the Hosta Berries. Those are the other three. So the Hosta Berry is the cross between a black currant and a gooseberry. And they're the very first leaf bud to actually start to open up. And when they open, they seem a little bit more curly fan in appearance. So they're the first ones to open up, and they're one of my favorites. They taste really great. They're a cross between the black currant and the gooseberry. So they have a lot of the nutrients that the black currant has, but not quite as much of the anthocyanins. So the next bud to open up after the, and another thing that happens, if the elderberries are leafing out, that's the time that the Hosta berries open up. So both of those open up, the buds start to break open, and you see the leaves just barely starting to emerge from those buds at about the exact same time. When it comes to the next ribe that's going to open up after the Hosta berry, it's the black currant. The black currant opens up probably within 2 to 3 days of when the Hosta berries open. So it's Hosta berries first, black currants second. The next ones to open up are the pink currants. The pink currants start to open up just a little bit now. The pink currant is a cross between the red currant and the white currants. We don't have the white currants. I didn't see enough nutritional value in the white currants, so I didn't get those. So then after the pink currant starts to emerge, the red currants emerge last. Now, for those of you who have a good sense of smell, scratching the bark can probably tell you the difference. I used to be able to tell them at any time without a label quite easily, but I can no longer do that. So if it's real early, like right now, the very beginning of April, it's, the first ones are the Hosta berries, second are the black currants, then come the pink currants, then come the red currants. I don't know when the white currants open. Certainly right about the time that the Hosta berries and the black currants, when the Hosta berries are already partially open and the black currants are just beginning to open, that's when the Invinca leaves start to open, and within a couple of days after that, the captiva, the captivate gooseberries start to open as well. So that's the order that I see things, and we'll take a quick look with the camera to look at them, and you can see the difference and all. Certainly using multiple modalities, the sense of smell, the pigment of the more mature canes as they're developing and all. But when I'm propagating these plants, often it's the first, second, or third year that they're going out, so they don't really have that old hardwood on them to tell the difference and all. But certainly in the food forest, when we look at it, we can see the difference between the red currants, the black currants, and how the hardwood. That's more subtle. Leaf bud emergence, I think, is more of an easy tell for those of you who are just learning about it. And it's a way for me to get things relabeled as well. So we'll take a look outside and have a look at how these hardwood cuttings look in some of the plants in the pots as well. Here we go. Okay, we're over here in the work area, and here are 5 buckets. Well, actually, there's another one down there on the floor as well. But the hardwood cuttings. So I thought I'd start down here at the end. One of the very first leaves to emerge on some of the plants in the food forest and the propagation area are the elderberries, and you can see they're parallel, but they're opposing, going opposite. So 2 will be left and right on this one, and front and back on that one, then left and right on this one. So that's our native elderberry plants in this area. So those hardwood cuttings are pretty darn easy to root. Next over here are our high bush cranberries, and these are also parallel buds, and they alternate from internode. So this is a node area where my finger's touching right now, and this is an internodal area, the place between the 2 sets of buds, but the buds are parallel. Then when we get over to the Hosta Berry, and again the Hosta Berry is a cross between a black currant and a gooseberry, and you can see the buds are alternating, but you can see the leaves start to open up first on the Hosta Berry. I'm trying to get this camera to focus here. So these are the Hosta Berries. So those start to open up at the same time that the elderberries do. The next ones to open up are the black currants right here. And again, they're alternating like the rest of the currants, and they alternate from side to side, and they rotate around the axis of the plant, of the stem itself. These have a very pungent odor. I can still smell these ones very, very well. The next one to open up are the pink currants, which I don't have an example here. I don't have any out in the field. I just still have them in buckets right now. The deer really, all the wildlife love the pink currants, and I love them as well. Really tasty. Then we get to the red currants, and as you can see, the buds haven't really started opening yet. So the red currants are the last ones to start to open. The pink currants, what we'll show you outside, open up, and they're an intermediate between the black currant and the red currant as far as leaf opening. And then we have the Hosta Berries, which precede the black currants by just a couple of days, by a day or two. The high bush cranberries, they take a little bit longer. They open about the same time as the red currants, and our native elderberry plants are open at about the same time as the Hosta Berries do, which are the first ones to open. So we'll go outside now and have a look. Another technique, which I won't go into right now, is stooling and or mound layering technique, which is in here, and I can't really see it with the camera. The sun's so bright right now. We're actually having a very high temperature for this time of year. I think it's got to be about 70 degrees Fahrenheit right now. It feels that way, which, since I'm not used to it being this warm, it's a bit of a challenge to do too much work today. So, here are the killdeer. They're all around out here. They like making their nests on gravel driveways and certainly wood chip areas as well. anything that has it sort of camouflages, it blends in with the eggs. It mimics the ground surface. So the first ones we can see right here, these are Hosta Berries. Hopefully these are showing up. These are Hosta Berry plants, and of course these ones are still on there. These are all Hosta Berries right in here. Blackberries, there are some Currants in here. This is a captivator gooseberry plant right there. Mostly all Hosta Berries right in here, and there are a few red Currants down there, but we'll go over here. So here's an example of a red currant, really not opened up yet, right next to a Hosta Berry here. Red currants right there. Red currants just barely starting to open. More Hosta Berries in this area, and black currants. There are some black, now I see there are a couple of black currants there as well, but mostly Hosta Berries right in here. And here are some pink currants right here. So you can see their leaves are just starting to open, and they've really opened up a fair amount today already. The leaves next to the base are going to open up quicker, and at the very tippy top. The ones along the runs don't open up quite as quickly. Again, more of the pink currants right here. One of the things, even the young bark, so this is last year's growth on the young bark, it's a little bit more tan on the pink currants than on the red currants. The red currants have a lighter color stem to them. So that's it. So those are pink champagne currants, are those ones. And that's about it right there. Okay, that's a little view into our pruning and propagating systems. Hopefully I'll make a video about the gooseberries that I mentioned in the video a moment ago, where we're mounding or stool layering those to propagate those. And I have made videos in the past about the hardwood cuttings and propagating those as well. This time of year it's continuous, trying to run around the property and get some of these done, and then get to the rest of the pruning that's got to be done. And this is also the best time of year to do transplants as well, before while the trees and the bushes are still relatively dormant. And it's a great time to get to be successful with starting some of the hardwood cuttings. So one thing I'd encourage people to do, if you're new to all of this, if you've got a smartphone with a camera on it, or if you have a good camera, is to go out and look at your different plants on your property. And when you're going to the nursery, taking good pictures of it and seeing, going at different times of the year to see what the branching looks like, see what the shape of the branches are. Are they is it a smooth circumference? Is it a rough circumference? Is it a square or hexagonal shaped or star shaped? The branching. Are the internodes pretty narrow, or are the internodes longer? Those sorts of things. Are the leaf buds parallel, or are they alternating? All of those sorts of things. And then doing the same thing when they're fully leafed out, and taking pictures when they're in the fall, when they start to change colors. Also taking notes of when the leaves tend to fall, at what time of the year as well. All of these things can help you to pick up something's wrong here. These leaves shouldn't be falling at this time. Or the buds are emerging too early and we're expecting more frost and all, which can damage. Or when the flowers emerge, and knowing the difference between what comes first, the flowers or the leaves in some species as well. So those are all things I think that, as someone who wants to learn more about things, taking your camera, making notes, whether it's dictating the notes or keeping them in a database, and getting yourself some good field guides, I think can really help for increasing your knowledge base about the practical things about the plants that you want to have on your property as well. I'll try and make a video in the near future about the couple of phases that I'm doing, the stooling or mounding, stool layering or mounding techniques for propagating the gooseberries as well. and I may do it with some other species this year as well, just to show the techniques as well. And it's a little bit less labor intensive as opposed to all the hardwood cuttings. But one of the benefits of doing the hardwood cuttings is you can go ahead and selectively prune to maintain a nice pathway to keep other undesirable plants from coming up. In our food forest, we have so many bird species here. They sit on everything around here. If I stood still long enough, I'm sure they'd be sitting on my hat. So what they're going to be doing is dropping seed in all those locations. So we have some of the native blackberry bushes growing in amongst the blueberry bushes and all, or other species growing as well. And that's those are all things to take note of and to see, geez, this plant is really susceptible to weed seeds or undesirable seeds to come up in this area. What are the extra steps I need to do to manage this sort of plant on my property, as opposed to other plants on the property, which are like the currants? We don't get too many weeds growing in amongst the currants. They're really hardy, and they tend to decrease the chances of the weed seeds that get dropped in that same spot, because the birds still perch right on top of the currants as well. But if they do that with the raspberries, certainly the weeds will grow up in there. And with the way that the root structure develops with raspberries, they're more susceptible to plants like quackgrass, ryegrass, the grasses that can have, or quackgrass and Bermuda grass, where the meshwork, the netting of the root system can overtake the rather superficial, close to the surface, relatively minimalistic root structure of raspberry plants, as opposed to currants, which have some deep rooters, side rooters, and all that. So when you get the opportunity to get bare root plants, I always recommend getting bare root plants over potted plants, and you can actually see the structure and the form that these plants grow in. So I think that's about it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. If you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends, folks. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye now.